Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting the Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to the Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Monday as you are listening to the show today. We, of course, have pre-recorded our conversation on the Zoom screen. I have a full Zoom screen on my laptop this morning. I am joined by Lieutenant Robbie S.A.L.T. He is the Community Resource Deputy and Liaison for the Warren County Sheriff's Office, which is totally not what he was, but kind of in a way is the last time Robbie was on the show with me. So Robbie, thank you for coming to hang out with me.
Glad to be here, Janet, as always. And yeah, the only thing that's changed, obviously, is the title. When I came to the Sheriff's Office, they just wanted to stick me with a lieutenant's position. I said, it's not about title. I'm Robbie S.A.L.T. That's who I've always been. So, but yeah, different, not necessarily a different role, just a different venue with what I do for the community as the community guy. So glad to be here and looking forward, obviously, once we deal with this pandemic, hopefully it goes away, we can get back to the normalcy of everybody's lives and do what we had been doing prior to.
We've also got on the Zoom screen with us Carol Miller. She is with Synergy Home Care. And Carol, we're going to talk today about the TRIAD Council and the S.A.L.T Council. You've been involved with S.A.L.T Council for quite some time, haven't you?
Yes, I've been involved over the last several years. I started meeting with triads up and down the valley to get to know what it was about as part of learning, what resources are available in the valley, and met Robbie S.A.L.T. At that point in time. I think it was the Page County Triad exhibitions, and talked with him about what was going on. We have our office in Front Royal, and said, what's going on in Warren County? And he said, yeah, well, I'm working on that. And so he got my contact information and got me engaged with it. He had already been with for several years, and volunteered me for president to replace the outgoing chair. So I did that for a couple of years, and now Robbie is currently chair of our council and treasurer, and supporting role as secretary. We also have Michelle Smeltzer from the Warren County Department of Social Services, and I know she's visited with you folks on the Valley Today from time to time, and has a lot of spearheads a lot of good efforts for the folks in our county.
Yes, she is an amazing resource for Warren County. I mean, there are not enough nice words to say about Michelle Smeltzer. She is fantastic.
Yes, she is.
Now, we've also got on the Zoom screen today, Terry Fritz. He is a deputy with the Warren County Sheriff's Office. And Terry, before we started recording for the radio show, I was asking everybody, how do I introduce you? And Robbie was telling me that you've got some background in the top of Virginia Triad Council. So you're kind of going to be the one that can say, well, here's what they've done in other communities for the local Warren County Council. Is that right?
Correct. I've got quite a bit of experience with Triad for the last 5 years. I was chairperson for the top of Virginia Triad, which was formerly the Winchester, Clark County, Frederick County Triad. We got rechartered a few years back with Attorney General Herring coming to Winchester to recharter us. We restructured the whole top of Virginia Triad with new bylaws and got quite a bit of participation with different resources within the community in Frederick, Winchester, and Clark County. And then when I decided to leave there to come here, I met up with Robbie S.A.L.T., whom I was familiar with. We met at a Williamsburg conference for Triad, ironically, and that's where we became friends. So, been dealing with this for quite a while. I was chairperson and secretary for, like I said, for almost 5 years.
Robbie, before we get into the weeds too much on what everything is and who does what, explain to me the Triad Council and then what role SALT plays within that council.
Well, triad, if you look at triad is actually a three-way commitment. And when we say three-way commitment, we're talking about law enforcement, whether it be chiefs or sheriffs, their designated offices or departments, and of course the community associated where everybody lives. And thus triad is that three-way commitment of law enforcement, various law enforcement agencies working together with other community leaders that are involved with in their own lives, if you will, whether it be like Carol through a business working with seniors for home care services or whatnot. These are people, people and businesses and residents that have the passion to help seniors as well. So that is triad, and of course SALT comes in. SALT is actually the acronym for seniors and law enforcement together. So we really look at triad, this council, as SALT/triad. And the basis of the SALT aspect of it is seniors, there are seniors in the community and law enforcement working together with our community leaders to help make the lives of our seniors, the quality of life, a whole lot better for them through the means of providing them education, training, and resources.
And Carol, when Robbie says education, training, and resources, what kinds of things have you guys provided to the seniors? Are you educating them on the internet and technology? Are you talking about scams? What kinds of things, what services do you provide to the seniors?
Well, this last year's been a little bit different. Kind of traditionally, one of the outreach forms that various county triads have had has been an annual conference, or in the case of some triads, more than often than annual. And that can be getting together for half day or so with seniors and presenting a variety of topics on health and safety and security and how to better protect yourself, as well as engaging the seniors and giving them a chance to interact with each other, which is also a very important aspect of life and making life better. In the past, there have been everything from active shooter and what to do if somebody comes into a restaurant. That was kind of scary, but very interesting and engaging. We had, these are the kinds of presentations that we've had. Or we had a Silver Sneakers as a program, exercise program for Medicare folks. And so we had one of the local gyms do a demonstration. And I think that year we had a kind of a Wizard of Oz theme to pull our conference together. And so the Silver Sneakers demonstration on exercises that you can do for flexibility and balance featured somebody dressed up as the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. So that was a riot. But at the same conference, we also had things like what's going on with the opioid epidemic in our area and what seniors can do to help prevent the spread of it. Seniors, for instance, have a lot of medications, what they can do to, safely dispose of them, what things are available, things like that. Going through 2020 and going into 2021, we have some outreach efforts that aren't getting together as a big group, so that we're working on putting together information that can be got out in the form of a rack card of resources that are available to help folks.
Terry, you mentioned when we were talking initially that you have been involved in Triad and SALT councils in other communities. And this is a state level type thing that kind of filters down to the individual communities. But a lot of what Carol's talking about are things that you've been involved in other communities, and they really are helpful. They do provide a benefit to the seniors in our community.
There are. We used to organize at least one major event a year that we would have at least for half a day, and then we would have multiple smaller events that would showcase like a business. We would have like Right at Home or Westminster Canterbury do a presentation at their facility on a smaller scale, but like on our larger ones, we would have people come in and do, like Carol was saying, the active shooter or we would have CPR, Heimlich maneuver type presentations that would engage the seniors to actually get up and perform these maneuvers. Anything that could be a tip to help save somebody's life or help them better their own life. We've also had prior events for like end of care, to where we would have like funeral homes come in, we'd have attorneys come in and help people get their finances and their wishes taken care of, because it's a hard topic for people to talk about, but we don't want the seniors to get taken advantage of either. So we'd like to have a safe forum for everybody to discuss these topics freely and have 3 or 4 different like funeral homes or attorneys. So that way they're not locked into just one, but they can hear it from multiple people.
Well, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Robbie, let's talk a little bit about how the community can help and what COVID has done to all of the plans that you probably put together in 2019 for 2020. Carol touched on it a little bit. Nothing looked like it was supposed to in 2020. Can we talk about all of that in the next segment?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on the Zoom screen with Lieutenant Robbie S.A.L.T. He is a community resource deputy and liaison for the Warren County Sheriff's Office. Joining him is Terry Fritz. He is also a Warren County deputy, and Carol Miller. She is with Synergy Home Care. We're going to talk more with them about the TRIAD and S.A.L.T councils when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Monday as you are listening to the show today. We, however, have pre-recorded our conversation on the Zoom screen. We are chatting today with Lieutenant Robbie S.A.L.T. He is the Community Resource Deputy and Liaison for the Warren County Sheriff's Office. Joining him on the Zoom screen is Carol Miller from Synergy Home Care, and Terry Fritz. He is a Warren County Deputy as well. And so, Robbie, we've been talking about the TRIAD Council and the S.A.L.T Council. It was funny. I found on the state's website a good analogy, because it said if TRIAD is the car, the S.A.L.T Council is the engine that drives the car, which I thought was a really good way to explain what the S.A.L.T Council is. You guys are kind of the worker bees. How has this pandemic impacted your ability to get the work done that you would normally have planned to happen in 2020?
Well, it's really contributed a lot to what we had to relearn and how to reach our seniors, because obviously with the pandemic, you don't have the one-on-one confrontations that you used to, or the meetings, if you will, that you would have liked to had with our seniors. It's really contributed to a point where not only it limits our exposure to our seniors, but also our seniors themselves being isolated. The pandemic, because of that isolation, has contributed to a lot of the things seniors go through, with being alone, not being able to interact, depression, and that sort of thing. So, and we're well aware of that, and it's the means of us to try and come up with the resources and other ways to reach our seniors and let them know we're thinking about them. Case in point, of course, one of the things that I do every week or every other week, my schedule pending, is I assist the Shenandoah Area Agency on Aging. That's AAA. I like to keep it simple. And with their Meals on Wheels program. So I assist in helping the staff at the Warren County Senior Center deliver, their meals when they do that every week. And of course, I do it, every other week if I can't do it every week. But I see exactly what I just illustrated with our seniors when they see us come to the door with the meals, and they, we've got a list of deliveries that we got to, get taken care of, but they just want to, talk and talk and talk because they don't have any interaction with people. And so it's contributed tremendously. And so we, again, Janet, we've had to find ways. Carol mentioned, I mentioned earlier about utilizing other resources to reach our seniors, let them know we're thinking about them. Of course, the sheriff's office has Operation Telephone List, and this is a program where there are seniors out there that get on our list that don't have family or friends that take care of them and everything. And we, as the sheriff's office, have our communications people call them every day to check on them. And if they do not answer or call back to let us know they're okay, then we send a deputy to their home to check on them. So that's a program the sheriff's office had, but it kind of coincides with what the S.A.L.T Triad wants to do and utilize again the means to better reach our seniors in other ways that we can that we normally would have done without a COVID pandemic era.
Carol, I would imagine one of the biggest pieces of this, as Robbie just mentioned, is getting that information into the hands of seniors. Some of them may not know that you exist. Some of them may not know the information that you want to make sure that they know about, especially when it comes to things like scams and opioid safety and all of those kinds of things. Do you need help from the community? I mean, can people volunteer to just help in some way? And what way would that look like?
I want to back up a little bit. When we were talking in the commercial break, we were talking about how things like how we work has changed. A lot of that has been dependent on the internet. How people go to school, how the kids go to school has changed. How the teachers teach has changed. And that is highlighting the people that don't have access to that internet or have a more difficulty accessing it. Because a lot of the mechanisms that we've learned depend on, internet, telephones, and things like that. So that's one thing to consider. That's maybe more to government and tell your representatives what you're willing to have your tax dollars spent on and those kinds of things. What Robbie talked about, individuals can do, just like Operation Telephone out of the sheriff's office. Churches do that and individuals do that. Reaching out to people, especially when people have been, like a lot of seniors, including my folks, my parents, in their late 80s have been sheltering at home for over a year. They are very isolated. The folks that are in assisted living facilities, for instance, they have had to be very isolated to protect them physically, but it impacts people's mental health. So reaching out to people and just, who haven't I talked to for a while, and making a phone call can be, how are you doing? And just, catching up with them and talking with them about things. Staying connected is something that each of us can do and will be very helpful to the safety and security and mental well-being of our seniors and everybody in the community. Another thing that people can do is educate yourself with safe sources of good information as opposed to misinformation. If internet isn't your thing, maybe you can't see very well, okay? So maybe radio or TV. One of the things that's tough, but that I hear a lot of educators stressing is get your information and your news from a variety of sources, even ones that may have a viewpoint that you don't necessarily agree with. There's so many sources of information maybe that we just pick and choose a few, and that's not good for our community as far as understanding each other, understanding each other's needs, being able to come to a consensus on how to move forward with everybody having their own point of view, and their own inputs. I talked with my own dad and he's like, he's seeing one.
Yeah, I think the one thing the pandemic has done to all of us is it's created these silos that we're all living in. And whether it's how we get our news or what we're having for dinner or what we're looking at on the internet, we're only looking at those one things that most of us just are looking for something to make us happy because we're so miserable from having been isolated and things like that. And with seniors, I would guess that's magnified even more. And you really do have to make sure that they're spreading out where they're getting information and what that information looks like and that it's credible.
All right. Robbie mentioned Stephen Izagura. He's a local kind of Northern Virginia representative, regional representative for TRIAD. And he's been really good about feeding our local county TRIAD with information from government sources, the Office of Attorney General, on here, scams going around to be aware of, things like that. And then the TRIAD and the different council members and affiliates, people that attend our meetings, get on our mailing list, they get that stuff. And we're working toward putting that stuff, maybe posting it in electronic form as well. But so OAG, Office of Attorney General, I would expect as a trustworthy source of information. Obviously, the Centers for Disease Control and Virginia Department of Health. TRIAD is trying to be, collaborate with these kinds of sources of information to get stuff out. Robbie mentioned Shenandoah Area Agency on Aging.
And Robbie, I know that on the Warren County Sheriff's Office website, there is a page devoted to TRIAD and SALT Council. And if I recall correctly, at the bottom of that page, there is a button where people can sign up to get a newsletter. Is that still there?
Well, I'm grinning as you mentioned that because our website is that page in itself, but our Warren County website is currently under still the construction stages, and that actually I was unaware until I got to the sheriff's office that SALT TRIAD had a newsletter. So I'm actually, when I got on the website and I saw that, and I go, wow, let me see where there was no newsletter. So I think that goes back years ago when I think former chair of the Front Royal Warren County TRIAD, Larry Funk. Of course, you remember Larry. Larry was, my goodness, he was an institution here at the sheriff's office. And actually brought me aboard. He was the means to bring me aboard, on the council. But back then, I think he initiated that newsletter, and it sort of fizzled away. But that's something that our council, actually, Carol, when she was our chair, brought up the idea of a newsletter again. And that's something that's still on the table that we hope to revive. And if so, then hopefully we'll get it as part of the Warren County website page that you just mentioned.
And that's another one of those things where, when Carol just rattled off the list of ways that people in the community could help, if somebody is listening and they understand how MailChimp or Constant Contact or these email services work, they could volunteer for SALT and say, hey, let me set this up for you as part of their giving back to the community as well, right?
Absolutely. We'd be tickled.
So how do they get in touch with you? If somebody's listening today and they want to offer some piece of information or some of their time, where is the best place for them to go to get in touch with any of you?
Well, I would say the Warren County Sheriff's Office. Obviously, the SALT TRIAD, our council is a program under a chapter under the Warren County Sheriff's Office. So they can actually call myself, Lieutenant Robbie S.A.L.T, at the Sheriff's Office non-emergency number, which is 540-635-4128. If I can't be reached, there's a very much another important person, and he's mentioned it, and that's the means of why he's on this show with you today, Terry Fritz. And I am eager and excited to get Terry involved more so with our SALT TRIAD. We've seen, as you've heard, he's got a lot of knowledge and experience, from the SALT TRIAD in Winchester area, the Clark County area. So Terry, if I can't be reached, and obviously Terry Fritz would be also a person that people would need to get a hold of. One thing that I wanted to mention also is when we start talking about our council, right now we've got I think 14 members of our council, and really our council is made up of not only our law enforcement individuals, but also people such as Carol Miller. When we talk about people in general that make up our council, they're usually people that have the passion to help our seniors or have a background in assisting seniors through their work or what have you. And when we talk about volunteerism, I mentioned the Warren County Senior Center, Meals on Wheels. We're always looking for people, whether they're affiliated with our council or just people in general that want to help the seniors. The Warren County Senior Center is always looking for volunteers to help with the Meals on Wheels program, and absolutely anybody interested in assisting with S.A.L.T, TRIAD Council, whether that's we have event, obviously means of fundraising. If we put on events for our seniors, that we're also always looking for fundraising efforts as well as monies to supplement the events and the educational training programs that we provide for our seniors. So Warren County Sheriff's Office, get in touch with us.
Well, and I will put links to everything that you mentioned, including the Senior Center and S.A.L.T, because, yeah, you're not going to get me to try and rattle that off without messing it up as we go along. I'll put Carol's email and Terry's email as well. And Terry, I got to tell you, dude, you got to be careful what you wish for. Whenever you mention anything to Robbie S.A.L.T, that's something you might be interested in or you might want to help with something, dude, you're going to be in charge of that in like hours. So I'm wishing you luck there.
Well, that's okay. It's well worth it.
I think I missed Jenna. I think I missed my vote because I'm listening to obviously Carol and Terry, and it focuses back to them meeting me, and now they're involved with obviously TRIAD and everything. So yeah, I must be. I should have been a recruiter or something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna wrap up our conversation today with the 6 degrees of Robbie S.A.L.T. Thank you guys for meeting me on the Zoom screen today, though. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us, Janet. It's always been a pleasure, and of course, down the road, we look forward to joining again on Valley Today. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We are going to wrap up our conversation today. We have been chatting with Lieutenant Robbie S.A.L.T. He is the Community Resource Deputy and Liaison for the Warren County Sheriff's Office. Carol Miller from Synergy Home Care and Deputy Terry Fritz from Warren County Sheriff's Office have also been on the Zoom screen with us. We have been talking about the TRIAD and S.A.L.T councils. Again, I'll put links to everything that we discussed up on the show notes page where you can go and click and get information so that you can reach out and be a part of helping our senior community. I will be back tomorrow. I will have a brand new episode of the Valley Today ready to go for you. It will be Tourism Tuesday, of course. So meet me back here just a few minutes after noon.